Yeah, I want Studio Z to be sitting at the same table as Taft and North Face and Lululemon and all those one day, but I want it to be organic and sustainable and love, you know?
Why do you feel the need to like protect that side of things? Like why not like supercuts this thing?
Because that's some bullshit, man.
I knew what the answer was going to be.
Yeah.
This is the Snowball Effect.
Welcome to the Snowball Effect podcast, where we're going to bring enterprise-level tools and talent to a local small business to help them grow.
Welcome to the Snowball Effect podcast. I'm Todd and I've got Chad here. I'm really excited to share with everybody the conversation and the experience that we just had with Kory Stevens going into Studio Z and getting his haircut.
Yeah, super unique episode. It's a little bit different today just because, I already started editing the episode, and I got to be honest, it's kind of a nightmare trying to edit like the noise of the electric shaver and the hair blower, or the, what do you call it?
Like the hair dryer?
The hair dryer,
There you go.
yeah. So it's a little bit difficult, so I apologize for any like audio abnormalities, but it was a really fun episode. Kory is awesome. He was such a
just
sport.
authentic.
Yeah.
He's just a good dude, and he gets in there, he gets real,
Yeah.
and they have some great conversation. And Kory shares some really cool tips and some cool life advice, really.
Yeah, like the first half of the episode is like a very sincere, like real conversation about mental health. The second half and really the last 10 minutes, he has some awesome advice for Studio Z and really small businesses in general.
Great. Well, let's jump right to it.
First, a short word about next season. Do you know a female-owned small business that could use help getting the snowball rolling? We're on the hunt for a female-owned small business to focus on for Season 2 of the Snowball Effect and female experts to help us along the way. Reach out to add your business to the list. Now, back to our episode.
So my name's Kory Stevens. I'm from Burbank, California, born and raised, and then I moved up to Utah to go to school after high school, and I've been around since. So now I have 4 children. I live in Provo, and in 2015, my wife and I started a shoe company, and in 2022, we sold the company to a private equity group in New York City.
Congratulations.
And thank you. Now I'm getting haircuts with Z, and trying to get in good shape and be a good dad and a good husband.
I love it. Tell me a little bit. First of all, that was beautiful. Like, we love you because you're so authentic on LinkedIn, and we wouldn't expect any different here. What surprised you the most? You know, selling a company, huge success, all that kind of stuff. What surprised you the most about that chapter of your journey?
Man, that's a great question. I think I've realized, and this is like not a lesson unique to me, but I've learned it for myself, where money doesn't really change your life. Like, I feel like for a decade I was working towards selling that business, and I always kind of put off certain things and always moved the goalposts further and further into the future, thinking that like, man, one day when we sell, we'll do this, or we'll do this, or we'll do this. And then we sold, and like, my life didn't change magically overnight. Like, the same struggles I had back then are still the struggles that I have now. And money, like, I saw this great post today. It's like, hey, don't let anyone lie to you. Like, having money makes your life better. And I think in some ways that's true. Like, you know, like, I just came from Harmon and I bought like a case of protein drinks, and I didn't like have to stress about it. Right?
Yeah. You didn't
Like,
have to
that was
sweat it.
cool. Like, that was
right.
cool. That's great. That's a huge benefit. But like, dude, depression doesn't go away.
Yeah.
I can't like suddenly feel comfortable at a barbershop. Like, I stress about money even more than I used to, probably.
Yeah.
Like, so I think it's been I'm learning that lesson for myself in live time, you know?
Yeah.
But like, man, money is not the most important thing. And I think when we forego certain things in our lives for the pursuit of money, it's actually really stupid.
Well, kind of leaning on that, Kory, because I think that's, you kind of are living the story that most people in their early 20s are
Right.
hoping for.
Yeah,
right?
no,
A
it's
lot
true.
Of,
And
a lot of people.
I recognize that, like, I'm super privileged. Like, to be able to say that, it's massively privileged. I know that, but it's still a lesson I'm learning.
Right. That doesn't make the lesson any less of a learned lesson. What advice would you give for someone like Z, who is building out his own business with that in mind, with that kind of perspective in mind? What would you tell him now that he's just a couple years into his journey?
How old are you?
I'll be 27 in a couple
Oh,
months.
man, you're young. You said you have kids, right?
I do have kids. Yep, two
kids.
kids. Yeah.
So I would say, for a few years further down the road.
I can even tell you like where the shop is at this point if you feel like
Yeah.
you need that background.
Actually, yeah.
If
Like,
that would
give me
help
any
you.
background, but I already know what I'm gonna say.
Okay, just say it then, bro. Just say it. Just say it. Just
I'd
say
love
it.
to
Just
know,
say
but
it.
like I already know what I'm gonna say.
We'll run that
and
back.
it's agnostic
Yeah.
to whatever
Yeah,
stage you're
That's
yeah,
in.
run
perfect.
it. No,
Like-
say what you need to say. I don't need to talk right now.
I imagine you feel a lot of stress and pressure. I think, like, I had a website essentially, and so I didn't see the traffic come in and out. I didn't hear like the jingle on the door. Like when people were not here and when I was not booked on my website, I didn't really know it quite as physically as you know it. Like, you feel the stress of this place physical, like it is a physical space, whereas I had like a website. And so I think that I would imagine that is really hard. What I will say is one extra appointment and missing something for your family is never ever worth it. Like, that extra $75 will not make a difference in your life. But like missing something for your kids or for your family, like that will make a difference. And so I think that, like, in the early stages of a business, we see people talk about this like hustle culture, this like grinding late, missing stuff, the whole family sacrificing. I actually don't think that needs to be the case. And I would recommend that if you are not taking care of yourself and like things aren't in order in your home, then things will never work out here. And so you just have to like set those expectations with your family now, because as things grow, it will only get more difficult.
That's so important.
And like, dude, it sounds trivial, but like, I sold shoes, and shoes are stupid. And you cut people's hair, and hair's like whatever. But
You
dude,
can say hair's
shoes-
stupid.
Well, like, but I'll spin it too. Like, shoes are stupid, hair's pointless, whatever. But I found a way to change lives through shoes. Yeah. And in that first little intro you gave me, like, we were talking about things way more deep and powerful than like fades and sideburns and chops and mustaches. You know, like, the power of hair, and I figured out the power of footwear. And so this can be important work. And I think that when you find a way to go beyond just the physical side of it for people, like, that's when they'll keep coming back. That's when the place grows. You're changing people's vibes, and that's like a pretty
How often do you
sacred
get 1 hour
privilege.
one-on-one with someone, no phones, no interruptions? Either.
Never, dude.
You know what I mean?
Never, ever. And like, dude, now you're realizing that my hair is crazy dirty, dude. Don't say it to the camera,
Yeah.
but
Dude,
you and I know that this is dirty hair, dude.
I would say it's natural hair, right? Like
That's
like,
another way to say
like
it.
our ancestors, they didn't have shampoo and conditioner.
Dude, it's like the crude's vibes, dude. Yeah.
I think it's sick. I think you have great hair, my guy.
Thank you.
You keep dogging on your hair. You got great hair.
Dude, it's because it's just
been a pain in your
just
butt.
Lack of self-confidence, man.
Yeah. You're a beast, bro. Why don't you know you're a beast?
Dude, I think like
you know what you bring to the table.
no, dude,
Don't be silly.
I'm good and like I can own a room, man. But like in my heart and when I'm by myself, like my self-talk.
Yeah.
The voice in my head is not that way.
I feel
all the
that.
time. And honestly, this group of people, like, what is this, like 6 people in here?
Yeah. Who you don't know.
This is like my max anxiety level.
Yeah.
All just staring at you.
I'll go speak to like thousands of people without.
But this
a
is
problem.
intimate. This
No,
is
it is,
intimate.
it is.
That's why. Yeah.
It's cool. It's super cool. And it's more like the size of like, you know, like a New York City barbershop. You got like the regulars sitting in the chairs hanging out. No, it's super cool, but I do.
You got the guy in the corner with a microphone just ready to say something. It's just like those New York barbershops, right?
But yeah, I just like, I know I lack self-confidence and I know I lack self-love, but that hasn't limited me.
Has it gotten better over the years? Like, what have you done what have you, like, do you actively try to find more of that?
Dude, yeah, I think like 2 weeks ago we were at this kind of parenting workshop at my kid's school, and it was like, it's a very privileged student body, I would say, is a nice way to put it. And it was just for the parents, this meeting. It was like 7 p.m. at night, just the parents, and they had this guest speaker come, and they were talking about like raising confident kids. And I raised my hand after in the Q&A session, and I was like, hey, I don't feel self-confident. How can adults increase their self-confidence, you know? And I think that like a lot of people they turned around and looked at me like, who is asking this question so transparently and honestly in front of this group of people? Like it's a very affluent group of people in that room. But like, yeah, like that's the level that I'm at, where I'm like, I'm actively seeking it. I'm willing to ask a pretty honest question in front of my peers. But like,
try
I'm
to
down,
actively
like,
be better. Like, what
like,
do
I'm
you
down.
do? Yeah.
So I'll share the answer because I thought it was pretty good. But she just said the very same things that increase confidence in our kids are the same things we need to be doing.
Bingo.
And so it was like trying new things, diversifying your hobbies and talents. But I loved her. It was such a simple answer.
Yeah.
I had just listened to her preach about how to do this for kids, and I was like, couldn't even see how to apply it to my own life. And she was like, you do the same thing, but you just do it yourself. I was like, okay. I thought it was like a good question.
Yeah.
She kind of like answered it very quickly.
That's really cool.
But yeah, like I want to be more self-confidence is probably second priority for me. The biggest is self-love, man.
Yeah.
If I could just like learn to be more nice to myself.
Yeah. I think we
That
all
would
agree
be-
with that in this room.
Like self-love and self-worth, that's like a superpower, man. It like positively affects everything.
Yeah.
And I didn't grow up that way. And
Can't
I'm
love
struggling.
anybody unless you love yourself either, right?
Man. I'm like, now I have children and I have a wife, and I'm a good dad and a good husband, and I'm a good boss. But like, that's one massive weakness that I can't imagine how much better I'd be in all the other areas if I could improve that in myself, you know? I'd love to hear, like, you know, I've actually been inside a barbershop, inside a motorcycle dealership before.
One at Legends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, probably 8 years ago or something, I had like, you know, a couple 100,000 followers, and this guy hit me up and he's like, hey, I'll give you a free haircut if you just like post or something. I was like, sick. But dude, it's like, I don't know if it's still there, but I never went back.
Yeah, I think it just barely shut down or something.
Yeah, and
that.
I just like, so I don't want that to happen. I'd love to hear like what your vibe is, because like, you know, Chad mentioned it, and you know, it's like, hey, how is he going to stand out? How is he going to differentiate in this kind of crowded local market? Like, I'd love to know what you're currently thinking and how I could help.
Yeah. Essentially what I want Studio to be one day is your one-stop shop for all your self-care needs. So think of potentially a place where you go that has a barbershop, potentially has a gym. I like jiu-jitsu. I feel like it's done a lot for me for my self-love, honestly. Mm-hmm. And I like the idea of maybe like some kind of mats that can be rolled out to practice jiu-jitsu as well. I practice a lot of hot yoga as well, so maybe something in the lines of that. Those two collab. Cold plunges, saunas, maybe we do like some golf simulators as well. But I like the idea, like almost like a middle-class country club, right? But like your one-stop shop for all your self-care needs. If I have this dream and you were the one doing it, what would you look at first? Where would you go from here?
I mean, I think you're right. I think in the early days of Taft, I really, really struggled to let anyone else do anything.
Yeah, like how did you create like a famous boot company when there's already a million of them out there? The thing is, nobody's doing what I want to do, so I've got that edge. But you did it on top of a saturated market, right?
I mean, I would say barbershops are pretty saturated too.
Yeah, but
so I think that, but yeah, the bigger goal, I don't have a membership to a place like that. Right? Like Abby said, I think you've identified one really cool thing, which is just like, dude, you are one person and income is limited to you being in this room. Mm-hmm. But if you hire a team, you can suddenly be doing other things and the business is still generating income. I know that Chad mentioned in an email some sort of like e-commerce play down the road or something. Yeah. Like that's another way.
Like sooner rather than later.
You can be sleeping and you can not be using your hands and you can be making money.
Yes.
So I think that, you're kind of already on a couple ways to generate money in a passive kind of way.
Yeah.
If I were you and I was trying to do that.
Do you like the idea even?
I mean, I'm like super frugal.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I would love to go to a place like that.
Yeah. But would you?
No, I would. I would. I just worry about the price.
Yeah, for sure. And I kind of the thought in mind is there's potentially different like memberships, right?
Yeah, there's gonna be different tiers.
Like and it's not like anybody just can't come get a haircut. You know what I mean? Like anyone can come get a haircut.
I mean, I'm at the stage of my life where I would go spend I wake up at 5:15 every day.
Yeah.
And if I could go spend an hour at a place like that in the morning, dude, I'd spend 2.
Yeah.
Like I'm thankful to be at that kind of stage of my life where I could do that.
Yeah.
I think that I'm trying to think of like who's done something like you have like your Vasas, which obviously different, but like a million people go there every day, but those are like huge and nasty.
Yeah. When you did Taft, did you go to like all the other boot companies around you and see how they were going about it? Or like
no, what I did, like my formula for Taft was high quality, highly differentiated product.
Okay. By the way, I've owned a pair of Taft boots before, yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, they're sick. They're so sick.
So we weren't like reinventing footwear. I'm not even a good designer. Like I'm not even like redrawing the silhouette.
Why you beat yourself up so much?
Well,
bro?
dude, no. It's just true. I can make a successful barbershop and not be a great barber.
Yeah. I feel you.
You know what I mean?
Like, I mean, watching TJ cut hair, a lot of times I'm like, dang, I'm not that good. I just been doing it and I didn't quit. Didn't quit.
But that's good. Like you want your team to be better than you at lots of things.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be the best at everything in here.
Yeah.
Or like you're hiring poorly.
Yeah.
But I just put unique materials on existing silhouettes.
That is true.
Like if you think about Taft, like there's no design magic other than sourcing materials from non-traditional sources. And so, as you think about this, like find a way to make this place differentiated. And then the second ingredient is like insanely good customer service. Like in the early days of Taft, we were writing handwritten notes. We were hand delivered. Like if there was a Utah order, I would go freaking pick it up from the warehouse and take it to them.
Really?
Like, that paid off.
Yeah.
And then the third ingredient is just time.
Okay.
And it sounds like a stupid ingredient, but like good things.
It's not a stupid ingredient.
Won't stay a secret for long. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you gotta write that down.
If this is like an amazing experience, people will talk about it. And I think that a lot of times we give up too early and we get frustrated. We compare ourselves to other people. Dude, now I gotta not move, dude.
No, you're good, bro. I've done this a time or two. You're like my third time ever doing this. So.
You know what I mean? The problem is so many businesses make crappy product that's the same as everything else. Like if we
back to that dollar bill, like they're just trying to make dollars.
Dude, it's just like imagine if I started Taft and it was just like brown and black leather shoes.
Yeah.
Dude, can you imagine how much more difficult it would be?
Yeah.
But then we put like floral jacquard from India on the side of a shoe, and it like all I have to do is take a picture of it.
Yeah.
And it's noteworthy. But if this is just another haircut,
True.
what are people going to talk about?
a
And why
great
are they going
point.
to come back?
It's a great point.
You got to find like a way to dig in and find something unique, and then you treat them like freaking family. The same way you treated your sister.
Yeah.
And then time, dude. There's going to be slow times, but it's like that snowball, dude.
Yeah,
Snowball
snowball.
podcast. The snowball just
yeah.
gains steam down the mountain, you know? Like that's how,
Boom.
like that formula, I could follow that formula in any industry and it would work.
Too easy.
I totally believe it. How long have you been cutting hair?
I started hair school in 2015. So
Okay. So
I've
you're
had
pretty
different
young.
jobs in between, and it took me way too long to get through hair school. But I in between, so I've done hair. I managed a treatment center. I was a patient in that treatment center, turned house manager.
That's cool.
And then I was preparing to serve a mission, and I realized my mission was actually just to manage the treatment center. So I stayed there for 2 years.
Cool.
Managed it in-house, lived there. Then I moved out. I've worked at Vans in between. I worked at a barbershop named Scissor and Bone. But other
Dude,
than
that haircut I told you about was from
I assumed it was.
Tally?
Yeah, I assumed it was. He's a goat.
Yeah.
He's a legend of
It's
haircutting.
from Tally, that one
He's
that
the
I
one.
got.
He was my like.
Dude, and now it's closed, dude.
It's an American Fork now.
Oh, they moved.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
it's
'Cause I
moved.
was like,
Yeah.
man, that's shocking. That
Yeah.
it's gone.
So yeah, Tally's. That's where I met Chad. Was it Scissor and Bone? Yep.
Oh,
so,
you were a customer there?
Yep.
That's rad. Yeah, that I got like my
He's
when
a
I
beast,
really had
bro.
to get a haircut. I went there one time.
Yeah.
My friend, you know Nate Quigley?
I know Nate Quigley.
Yeah.
really
So
well,
Nate,
Yeah.
Nate was like, dude, you're
Go
gonna
check-
win this award, dude, and you have to get a haircut, and you got to go to my guy.
Nate's
So he
a
got me
Nate's
an
a
appointment.
Scissor and Bone legend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the one that set me up there.
Yeah. So I'm sure Tally taught you a lot of these tricks I'm teaching right now. or
Yeah,
did
and he
not?
also sold me like a $60 brush and like a $50 pomade that I still have and I've never used. So, yeah, that was like, I feel like I got baited and switched in that place because it was like
They
already
sold.
a really expensive haircut for me.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it was like, oh, you have to have my brush and this pomade. And all of a sudden, it was like, $300. I was like,
Yeah.
what in the world just happened?
Yeah, they say that, and I've found success with and without.
First of
On
all,
the
you
same
look
boat
like
as
$1 million. Like seriously,
Dude,
Z.
my dad and my grandpa are both like crazy handsome. Like my grandpa,
Will you throw yourself in that sentence too, real quick?
dude, you need if you got my grandpa
Sounds
in here,
like it's
dude,
generational.
he's just like classic, beautiful grandpa vibes, like crazy handsome. And my dad is really handsome too, and now he's performing a lot, and he always has like nice haircuts.
Performing.
Yeah, he's a singer,
Oh wow.
and like. I feel like when I'm kind of like I'm more like my grandpa right now.
Yeah, you fit in the fam. That's
Like
legendary.
it's not my grandpa's hair is, and it's like, dude, you're like 85 and you look like a Hollywood superstar.
That's
you know?
awesome.
He's cool, yeah.
Well, you look great. Now I want to pick your brain and build off some of the things that you said. So we talked about Z, kind of your hopes and dreams for Studio Z, and what this could become. Now, if we could just kind of zoom in a little bit and look at maybe the next 3 months. What would you say? You know what his end goal is, Kory. Yeah. But as far as what can he do in the next 3 months to start pursuing that right now?
Z, so how, on a normal day, how many hours would you say you're booked out? Or not are booked out, but like how many are booked?
I don't like to do more than 6 a day. If I do more than 6 a day, I don't like cutting hair.
And how many days are booked, fully booked, would you say?
I work 4 days a week.
And they're
I'm
fully booked
usually
already?
Yeah, I'm usually booked 2 weeks in advance.
Sheesh.
But
Every hour?
I've got TJ and I've got Court too.
And you have 2 seats in here now.
Yeah, and there'll be revolving schedule too.
Okay.
And a little
So,
bit
yes.
of context here, Kory. In our earlier episodes, we talked about over the next 3 months, he's positioned now to 2x his revenue
Right.
with these new people he's
brought
bringing in.
Jake in as a partner, who's the brains.
Oh, Jake,
TJ's.
you haircut?
He just handles. He's the brains.
Dude, I thought
everything
you were with
but
Snowball, dude. Okay.
No,
all right.
yeah.
So we got your two guys here.
So no.
And your family.
Let me. Jake is the longest tenured believer of Studio Z and has believed in me at times when I haven't believed in myself, and is the one who has pushed me to get Studio Z out of just me cutting hair in my comfortable space into what it is now. And so he handles all the behind the scenes. Whatever I need, Jake does it. He's just letting me cut hair, build the team, do the merch, that kind of stuff. And then we brought in TJ.
And TJ cuts hair.
TJ's cutting hair at a high level. Yes, better than me. I'm serious, man. You should see some of the stuff this guy's doing.
I believe it.
And then we've got Court as well, who's a tiny bit more green, but looks the part, acts the part. We get a month or two. Court, we went to hair school together. We get a month or two more with Court, and he'll be a dog. He already is a dog.
Could you have a third chair in here? Yeah.
I could, but I worry about that intimacy. Like it would feel it'd feel busy, But anyways, there's a revolving schedule, so I work 4 days a week. TJ will work 4 days a week. Court will work 4 days a week. So I'll work 2 days a week with TJ, and I'll work 2 days a week with Court, and then they'll work 2 days a week with each other, and then Court will bounce from station to station. That's TJ's station, that's mine.
Okay.
Court will bounce back and forth. But yes, we could potentially one day put a third chair in here.
You're right, but I think in here it might feel a little bit like sweatshoppy.
Yeah.
So what we're thinking, Kory, is over the next 3 months, with Jake's help, who's kind of his wingman, who's helping out with a lot of marketing and stuff, and then Snowball, we're coming in trying to help as well. We're hoping over the next 3 months that we can book him out with his staff.
Yeah.
And to see how cool that would be. So that's one, is what can we do for his revenue and his growth and those growing pains and help him through that? And then two, how do we set him up so that he can have a nice, healthy future growing this, where the experience isn't touched, but that he's able to grow his business.
I've got one thing.
Do you want to grow your business?
Yeah, I want Studio Z to be sitting at the same table as Taft and North Face and Lululemon and all those one day, but I want it to be organic and sustainable and love,
Yeah. Why do you feel the need to protect that side of things? Why not supercuts this thing?
Because that's some bullshit, man.
I knew what the answer was going to be.
Yeah, because I am trying to build an army of open-hearted men who can come in here and be themselves and get better and leave feeling better and acting better, and then therefore they can go out and change the world and make it a better place. That's why I don't want to do it that way.
Okay.
Just like how you did Taft, it sounds like to me.
And do you how aggressively are you trying to grow? Is it oh yeah, maybe I'll put a flyer in this high school play, or are you dude, I'll do anything?
Now that I have a team around me, and I've been booked out for 2 weeks for 2 years now. And so there was no point in doing any of that stuff because I was making as much money as I could just cutting hair, right? But now that I got a team, pedal to the metal, my man. Game on.
I think Chad, you mentioned that you're active on LinkedIn. Maybe
I just started Chad. Yeah, Chad's gonna coach me.
So, dude, I have never once seen a barber do anything on LinkedIn. So that's kind of interesting because
Chad had a good point about that.
Yeah,
too.
That's a good audience that. If you're active on LinkedIn, usually means you have a job, you're willing, you have the income, you could be spending money on yourself.
Chad said I could be the entrepreneur's barber.
Dude, I'm trying to get my friend to be the entrepreneur's physical therapist. So there's a play, people I'll lump myself into that group, but someone like me needs, I am a barber nomad. I go wherever someone gives me a free cut or my friend's wife is cutting, whatever. Dude, I'm not above people in hair school having to cut for free and they suck. I'm down with all that stuff. But dude, imagine if you could be the entrepreneur's barber, dude, the LinkedIn barber. I think that's sick. I also think, dude, the door-to-door sales community is
like a fifth of my clientele.
Massive. And they love a haircut.
Yeah.
And they love sneakers and they love cars.
They love Taft boots too.
Some do. I don't know. But dude, if I were you, I would find a way to inject myself into that. And that might mean going to, Aptive's office or Vivint's office or and being on site for the day and just getting freaking 25 cuts done, like whatever. And their team lead pays for it or whatever. Like, dude, like this is the right, like we had lots of people that would give shoes as an incentive. But like, dude, how much doper is it? Like the same way like car detailers are in the parking lots of these places all day, like, or a masseuse being in these offices all day. Like, dude, you could a day a week, you and Court or you and TJ, while someone else is here on that revolving schedule, and just go knock out, and then you hand each of them like a free shave or free pomade, whatever it is, next time you come into the shop.
Yeah.
Like, dude, if for me, the door-to-door sales community is like really weird to me, but they know how to have fun and they like to take care of themselves and each other. And like, for me, you're perfectly positioned. Dude, you're right by the freeway. Anyone coming north and south, dude, Vineyard and Saratoga, all those guys that are like young
teams,
and having success,
yeah.
they all live right here.
Yeah, they do.
And like, I think this is a really interesting location where you could actually get those people back. Whereas that other dealership I've been to for a haircut before, that was a nightmare to get to. This is a nice location.
Yeah.
I would like actively pitch businesses, and dude, even like conferences and like I'm just on LinkedIn. There's so many little like weird
things. Yeah.
Like even recently, I saw like my buddy Mitch Matthews was at some cabin with like 30 guys. Like, you should have been there.
Yeah, true.
Like those things, like that LinkedIn sales group, those people, I don't understand that culture, but I know that they'd be into this, dude.
Yeah.
And like, if I were you, and now that you have some hours freed up in your week, that's where I would push.
Yeah.
Because then you're not spending a bunch of money. You're making money to market instead of like paying people to market.
Yeah. That's
Corey,
beautiful.
you're the master of LinkedIn. I want to build.
Dude, I am not the master of LinkedIn.
You figured,
but you're the most authentic person on LinkedIn.
Maybe I'm the most authentic.
if he wanted to build himself out on LinkedIn, what advice would you give?
I think that what you're doing right now is interesting. I think like a podcast spotlight on your business is really cool. And the Snowball guys helping you do that, it's super cool. I think that like on LinkedIn, a lot of times like people think that there's a certain type of content that's appropriate. But like LinkedIn is just working people Instagram, basically. Like it's no different than any other social media platform. There's bullies. There's weird people that just comment on each other's stuff, and like there's people that pay people to engage with their stuff. Like it's just like any other social platform. The difference is that they're usually working professionals.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't say that like whatever your Instagram account would post, that content could be repurposed for LinkedIn too. Like I don't think that there's do's and don'ts for, I talk about depression.
Yeah.
And it resonates like crazy. And I used to think I need to talk about e-commerce and I need to talk about LTV to CAC. And it's like, I need to talk about my e-commerce experience and kind of like shun my personal stuff. But the personal stuff is the stuff that people care about on LinkedIn, where typically that stuff isn't really talked about.
Yeah.
And so I think that like giving yourself permission to talk about hair and, this is fine for LinkedIn. If you want to crack into, I think that identifying some people to cut their hair for free, like, dude, I am here for a free haircut.
Yeah.
I'll be totally honest.
Yeah, of
like
course,
that, when Chad hit me up, I'm like, we can record it, our office, or you could go to that. You could actually get a haircut. I'm like, I have such a hard time getting a haircut. Like I am there 10 times out of 10. And so I think that there's lots of people like me that if you were like, dude, if you'll post on LinkedIn, tag me, I'm trying to be like the entrepreneur's barber, like they would do it for sure.
Yeah.
And dude, I just got offered $8,000 to make a sponsored post on LinkedIn. I said no, but I think for a haircut.
Are they asking for feet pics or
No,
what?
no. But the reason I share that is because I said no to that, and that's $8,000. But your haircut is worth more to me than $8,000. I can pay any barber, $75, whatever. But like, I'm too scared and I'm too uncomfortable. And so I don't. But like, dude, there's people on LinkedIn that have influence, and that the convenience of coming here for a haircut with you, they would post for a haircut, I think.
I do like
And
that.
so I think like, dude, just like taking the old like Instagram and Facebook play of like, hey, you have like 20,000 followers, you're in the area, you're in the door-to-door sales community, or you're at Qualtrics, or you're at wherever, and they're active on LinkedIn, I think that they would post. So I know that, I don't know where you're at with like, I don't do free haircuts. Like, if you're willing to be kind of scrappy and sacrifice one of your hours a day, I think it would come back, dude. Because like right now, I know the physical therapists on LinkedIn. I know the masseuse, massage therapists that are on LinkedIn. I know the doctors. I don't know a single barber on LinkedIn though. And I think that there's an opportunity. Like, this is a hot area for LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Utah County and Salt Lake County. There's a lot of like powerful LinkedIn people here. And dude, there's room if you're willing to be a little scrappy.
Yeah.
A little salesy at times.
Yeah.
But like, dude, I think it's a super cool idea.
I love that.
You said something that was just gold earlier when you were talking about your experience with Taft early on, about writing personal notes.
Yeah.
And that special personal touch. What's the barber's version of that Z could do to really differentiate himself?
Gosh, that's a really good question, because I do think that there's tactical, practical things that I did at Taft that you could implement at other businesses. And I think that, like, for me, honestly, like, if you got little sample, I know, like, Cloak and Dagger, this isn't your own product, is it?
Which is in the works.
Yeah. I just think for me, like,
dropping it.
I think that like a little sample bottle of something would mean a lot. Because at that other barbershop where I had to pay, I kind of got caught off guard, and they're like, hey, you want that? Like when you go to a restaurant, freaking Maria Bonita's, and they're like, would you like some guacamole with your chips? And you're like, yeah. And then they bring it, and you're like so pumped.
$10.
And then it's like $12 at the check, on the check, and you're like, I didn't even know it was. Yeah. And there's a restaurant I love, and they're always like, I order my beef tenderloin medallions, and they're like, do you want some soup, mushroom bisque? I'm like, yes. And it caught me off guard that I had to pay for it. And they presented it in a way, and they presented it, I know you do. They presented it in a way that I thought it was free. I bet you use the same 2 or 3 products on 90% of your guys. If instead of me having to pay for it, if you were like, hey, this is the product I used, it's a 2-ounce sample. If you love it, like, pick some up next time. But like, for now, this will definitely get you to, 3 to 4 weeks or 5 to 6 weeks until your hair starts falling. But like, take this. It's got my number on the back if you have any questions. Or it's like, hey, here's this QR code. That's that video, like the styling video. Scan the QR code. It takes you to YouTube. It'll remind you how to do it. A lot of that stuff is kind of universal. I tell all my clients, like, this is some basic stuff. If you need a reminder, go to the QR code on the back of this little bottle. But if anything, here's 2 ounces of it. It'll get you through 3 to 4 weeks. And like, that for me would go a long way.
Yeah,
that's simple. And like, dude, pomade I know is not expensive. And that bottle I paid $60 for, it is like, it might as well have cost me $1 million the way it sits in my drawer in my bathroom. It bugs me every single time. But if it were free, it would feel like this gift from Z that just keeps giving, for months. So I think like something like that could maybe be the move.
That's huge.
Or like a pair of Studio Z socks, or like something that costs you literally $1 or $2, but like the value assigned to it by a customer is like, for me,
it just shows we love
very high, and you didn't have to do it, and you did it.
Yeah.
And in that situation, it means like, it hits me in the heart, and I keep coming back. Like there's a grocery store in my hometown called Hughes. It's closed. It closed when I was in high school. But Hughes, when you went in there as a kid, if you were like under 18 or whatever, you could go to the bakery and get a free cookie. And dude, we would always go to Hughes. And then there's this gas station in Mapleton where if you get 15 gallons or more, you get a free 24-ounce soft drink. And I go there for gas now. And like, dude, if I could, if there was some reason besides the haircut, just a kind gift from you, that you even subsidize out of the price of the haircut. Like, it's free to you, essentially just raise your price by $2, whatever. But it's the sentimental value that a customer assigns to it. And for me, dude, that is where I go to, where that thing is.
Yeah.
Whether it's gas or it's a cookie or it's pomade, you know?
Well, you feel appreciated.
Yeah, dude. It's just like, I am Kory.
Because you are appreciated when people do that.
For sure, dude. For sure.
Kory, you're so generous. We asked for an hour of your time.
Well,
you've given us just like
unlimited
amount. No, you've given us unlimited amount of time. You've got milk going bad out in your car.
Good, man.
You know, but thank you so much. Like, seriously, I can see why you're a legend on LinkedIn and in the business community, because you just give.
Thank you.
And so from us here at Snowball, thank you for just being so generous with your time, but even more importantly, generous with your advice for a young entrepreneur. I think that goes a long ways. And from us here at the Snowball Effect, I just want to say thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time on the Snowball Effect. We'll see you later.